Hello and welcome to video part 4. In this video we'll be adding a new collection and we'll be creating our first endpoint to allow the creation of new user in the database. First, let's create our connection. As a reminder, in the index.js we have here a function we called runConnect that connect to the database. And here, after we have successfully connected to the database, we need to create a new collection. First, we need to grab the result of the client.db so the result is the database. If we had any problems, then we remove the comment. Then using the DB, we can create a new collection. We'll create a constant to store the collection users, which will be equal to db.collection users. All right. Next, we need to add the index. So using the user.create index, which take two parameters. The first parameters is the fields for this index, which could be one or many fields. Here we have only one field. We'll be creating a unique index on the email. So I'll specify email, which is 1, which means true. Then the options for the index. One of the option is unique, which will set to true. All right, so we are creating a unique index on the email for the user collection. All right, here we have an error in the console. db.collection is not a function. All right, so I think we need to remove here the command, the pink command. All right, so all right, now it is working because we need to get the db from this methods which returns the db. All right, so here we have our collection, and I can use my compass, MongoDB compass, to check to see if the database is created. So in my DB compass, I can go to my local host and connect and check the Rideshare database, which is already created, and the collection has been created. Of course, it is empty at the beginning, but here it is. And the index, we can, yes, we can click the indexes tab, and we see that we have an index on the email, and it is unique. Now, to allow the user to create a new user, we need a new endpoint where the user can submit the new user information, and we need a function that the endpoint or a handler, you can call it handler, that the endpoint can use to send this information, where the handler receives this information and updates the database with insert 1. So first, let's create the new route. So here we have app.get. We'll add another one now, app. This time is post, because we need to send information. So we need to post information to the URL that we'll specify here, or more commonly referred as to the endpoint when talking in terms of API. This endpoint here will define it as user. So if you post to /users, it means you are adding a new user or creating a new user, or it could be users. It's more appropriate for it to be in plural. So post /users. Now we need to receive the post information sent with this request. So here we create a constant user object, which will be equal to request.body. All right, now we have the data provided with the post from the user of this API or consumer of this API. Next, we use this data to send it to a function that we haven't yet created. So I'll create here a function. I can name it constant handle new user, for example. All right, which will be an arrow function. Of course, we need here a user, and we need of course the collection that we have created here. So now, of course, here concerning this collection, we have different way of doing it. We can create here a variable. We'll name it users. All right, constant, not constant. Let users. All right, and here we'll assign to it the collection. So in the handler here, we'll rely on this users here. This is one way to do it. Okay. Another way we can do it is to store the DB in a variable. So here the DB will be available publicly in the index page. So we have the DB, and each time we need to get a collection, we'll use the same statement here. All right, so we'll create a new constant, and since we have the DB accessible everywhere in this page, we get the collection users. We can do it like this. Later on, we'll refactor this code to move this into its own package, but for now, for this example, we'll keep it like this, and we'll move on to the creation of a new user. Here, users dot insert one. All right, insert one. It will take the user object. This is an async operation, so we transform the function into async, and here we'll use await, and we'll need to store the returned result from the insert one into a constant. We'll name it results. With the result, we'll get the ID. So we need to return the results dot inserted ID. Now, to catch any error, we'll use the try catch. All right, if there is any kind of error here, we'll catch it here in the catch block, and we'll console.error error creating new user. All right, and console.log the error itself. All right, now the handle new user will be used here. Will be used here. So we'll call handle new user with with the parameter user. All right. Now concerning the handle new user, we need to await for the returned results. So I will change it here to return actually a promise. So we can return new promise. Now for the new promise, need a callback function. Here we will get the resolve reject, and we'll paste the code we were trying to do previously. Here we will, instead of returning the ID, we will resolve with the ID, and here of sending error, now we will reject. All right, with an error, we will send the error. Now in the post, we can now await, but first we need to transform the function into an async. All right, the async function will allow us to await for the operation handle new user, and we store the result of this operation in a constant. We'll name it, of course, results. So it depends on whether there's an error or not. So Here also we'll use the try catch. All right, so if everything is good, we'll res.send the ID, so the result immediately. So the results contain the ID, and in case for an error, we'll send a response with a status 500, which means a internal server error, and for the message, we'll specify the message error while creating a new user. So here in the console, we have an error concerning the await. So we're using here await. All right. So here the async should be not for the main function. It should be here for the callback of the promise. All right. Now we can add a new user. To test it, we rely on the Postman. Now let's open Postman. Postman, it's an application that help you test your API. So you can send post request, delete request, patch request. So here it is. You can install it from Postman official website. So you can search Google for Postman and you get immediately the homepage for their website, and it's a free. All right. Now here I have several API already set up, already created. Now I will create a new API or a new collection. Now here, if you say API, it's a different thing. Okay, it manages many part of your API application. So I just simply want to create a new collection, test some URLs here, nothing more. So I'll create new, and I'll specify the collection. Now I have a new collection. For the name, I will change the name, rename. All right, I'll name it Rideshare, and I'll add a request. Here you can add many requests and you can group them in folders. So I can add a folder, for example, now for users. All right, rename users, and inside of it I will add a request. Now for the request, it will be create user. All right, this is the name. All right, now we'll specify instead of get post for the action, and the URL will be http://localhost 3001, as we have specified, /users. Now we need to send the variables or the object in a form of JSON. Remember, we are using in our application, everything should be JSON, because here we have specified, we have told Express to send and receive JSON. So everything we send is JSON, and everything we receive from a request will be parsed into JSON. So we don't need here to parse the received. As you can see, request.body is already parsed as a JSON. So here we need in the body, so you go to the tab body and you need to specify row and JSON. Okay, now here we can create a JSON object. Now for the user here, or I'll copy from another example here, I guess this one, create user. I have the body. I will copy this object here. All right, so we have the first name John, last name Doe, and the email test Doe. All right, and testdoe at example.com. The password is test. Let's simplify it, and this is it. Let's make the password test. So if I send now, all right, now I get the ID, and if I go to my database using the MongoDB Compass and check the documents, for the user collection, which I refresh, and here is my new document. All right, now if I retry to add the same user with the same email, knowing that, if you remember, we have created an index for the email which is unique. Now this way we can test if it's working. So if I click send now, error while creating a new user. And if I go back to my console to see the error, all right, I don't see nothing. Because why? Because I haven't printed logged the error in the console, so I'm not doing anything with the error. I'm saying error while creating a new user. Let's console.log the error. All right, when we console.log the error to see what information we got, and let's again add, all right, a user with the same email. All right, we got the error. The 500 is set correctly, the status of the request sent. Now in the console here we have the error which say MongoDB error, duplicate key error collection, shared.user index email ID dup key email. As you can see, it is very clear, the error. Now let us dot message. If I send, all right, error dot message work. So in case if it's an email error, duplicate email error, we need to inform the user. So we'll check for the error dot message. So if error dot message dot start with the string, this one here, all right, we know in this case we have a duplicate email. Then we'll send another error, res dot, we specify 500 duplicate email, just duplicate email to inform the user, all lowercase, to inform the user that, or the front end, that the email is duplicate. We can here rely on just the duplicate. All right, so, and here we'll put an else. So if not this one, else. Instead of sending the message, we can use the send status 500. All right, so starts with s, all right. So let's remove the console here and let's try it. So now if I click send, I'll get duplicate email. All right, this is it for adding a user. Next we'll be working on the validation. We don't want to save to the database unless the request have the required parameters in the correct format. So this will be in the next video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.